Hello, how good to see you again, and isn't time flying by? My goodness, I can't believe that I'm sitting here in my study in the manse thinking about the Bible reading for the 3rd of May. Hardly seems possible that we're already into the month of May, and I sincerely hope that you are keeping well and you're keeping safe and you're able to busy yourself in a new routine, as indeed have I and my family been able to form a new routine. So let's have a little thought then, or a few more than one thought perhaps, about the Gospel reading for Sunday the 3rd of May. So at the back of the manse, just the other side of our garden gate, is a field of sheep and their lambs. It is a joy to watch them. We have observed the lambs as they begin to grow, not just in size, but grow also in confidence. And we have laughed at many of the funny things that they do. We have noticed too the sheep taking good care of their offspring. Nature is a glorious thing, isn't it? Increasingly, we have also become aware of the bond between the farmer and his sheep. In recent days, we have been able to spot instantly when the farmer arrives in his truck, not because we are looking for him, but because we recognise the noise that the sheep and the lambs make. They don't half get excited, with both sheep and lambs running and jumping towards him, some almost climbing into his truck. But nothing compares to the noise that they make upon the farmer's arrival. Yes, of course, he feeds them, and what he has brought them is obviously very yummy because they get so excited and they rush to eat it immediately. But it's more than that. I have observed that they know him and they trust him. They are curious about us, of course. The lambs are even brave enough to get up close to our garden gate. But if we make a move to get closer to them, they soon scarper. They do not trust us. Whilst we remain on our side of the gate, we are no threat. But even so, the sheep are wary, calling their lambs away, warning them of our presence. Now, I am no farmer, and I have little experience of sheep, but I can observe the bond between the farmer and his flock. From my observations, I conclude that he cares about his flock, and I can confidently declare that he is a good shepherd. With all that in mind, I now turn to the reading for Sunday the 3rd of May. It's taken from the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verses 1 to 10. So I'm going to read that now. And if you have your Bible, then follow on with me. John, in the New Testament part of the Bible, chapter 10. I assure you, anyone who sneaks over the wall of a sheepfold rather than going through the gate must surely be a thief and a robber. For a shepherd enters through the gate. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. After he has gathered his own flock, he walks ahead of them, and they follow him because they recognize his voice. They won't follow a stranger. They will run from him because they don't recognize his voice. Those who heard Jesus use this illustration didn't understand what he meant, so he explained it to them. I assure you, I am the gate for the sheep, he said. All others who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the true sheep did not listen to them. Yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. Wherever they go, they will find green pastures. The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give life, life in all its fullness. It's very interesting for us to reflect that when Jesus spoke the parable that's in the first 6 verses of this reading, that parable, sheep and shepherds were an everyday sight. So the teaching would have been obvious. Although here they say they don't understand and he goes to explain it, actually the subject of his teaching would have been so familiar. Sheep and shepherds being an everyday sight. And I guess for most of us who live in the North Yorkshire Dales, that is also true. But many across our world have grown up never having seen a sheep or a shepherd. Throughout the Old Testament part of the Bible, there are several devastating passages about the shepherds of Israel, the leaders, those who should have been taking care of the flock, but only took care of themselves. And I encourage you to read the whole of Ezekiel chapter 34. For it really does give us an insight. So when you have time, if you turn to Ezekiel chapter 34, that will really give you some insight into the kind of leaders they were. Isaiah chapter 56, verses 10 to 12, is also very revealing. And this is what those 2 verses say. For the leaders of my people, the Lord's watchmen, his shepherds, are blind to every danger. They are like silent watchdogs that give no warning when danger comes. They love to lie around, sleeping and dreaming, and they are as greedy as dogs, never satisfied. They are stupid shepherds, all following their own path, all of them intent on personal gain. Come, they say, we will get some wine and have a party. Let's all get drunk. Let this go on, and tomorrow will be even better. Basically, those charged with looking after God's people, those given the responsibility of leading, have fallen way short of the mark, abusing their position. Leadership comes with responsibility. It is not to be taken lightly. History reveals that many leaders were corrupted, especially within the church. It is a sobering reminder, isn't it? For the truth is that a poor shepherd endangers his or her flock. Jesus, in contrast, declares himself as the good shepherd, the one who saves the flock, the one who offers life in all its fullness. It sounds amazingly simple put like that, doesn't it? Amazingly simple. Why would we not follow Jesus, the Good Shepherd? However, life is often far from simple. I'm sure that you will agree with me that making sense of the terrain, choosing the right options along the way, not being hoodwinked, fooled or persuaded by others, all of that's tricky, very tricky. And like the curious lambs in the field at the back of the manse, people too are curious, keen to discover and try new things, constantly seeking excitement, enjoyment, happiness. Some things appear innocent enough, but who or what we follow is important. I wonder, in this time of lockdown, when most of us are restricted to online interaction, what dangers are lurking there? Some innocently being drawn in, perhaps, to things that do not offer life in all its fullness. You and I need to be careful, don't we? I do not know what would happen in the field out back if the farmer turned up in a different vehicle. Would the sheep and the lambs still rush noisily towards it, or would they be cautious? Jesus said, "My purpose is to give life in all its fullness." So let's remind ourselves today of Psalm 23. They're hugely familiar words, and yet do they not give us an understanding of our gospel passage? I think they do, and I'm going to read them to you now, and I am going to read them from the New Revised Standard Version, because for some things modern translations don't help. So Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. They're fantastic words, aren't they? They're words that bring comfort, reassurance, but also an understanding of what it means to be led by the Good Shepherd. So as I learn more and more about the antics of the sheep and the lambs, I observe that bond between them and their shepherd. May you have a bond between you and your Lord this day. May you know his presence, recognize his voice, feel his love. It's been good to share with you once again. Let's just take a short time to pray for one another. Lord God, as we step into the month of May, and we recognise that we are still far from being able to come face to face with those that we know and love, may you wrap your loving arms around all of us. May you continue to care for us and lead us along the path that is life in all its fullness. Amen. So God bless you today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.